Okay. Okay. So we have a question here about sharing our handles. So mine is just my full name. Okay. Let me answer that. I see one hand raised. Okay. Is there a question? Yeah. Go ahead and share your question. And Christine, you can put your handle on the chat.
Good.
Yes. Go ahead. Kadri, am I saying your?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much for the very beautiful presentation. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I want to ask a question first. I intend to, because I'm also searching for PhD position, though I've been in contact with some professors in the US, and it's been great that I've even had like 2 interviews. Then funny enough, one of the professor that interviewed me is also following me on Twitter. So we kind of following each other. So I want to make like a Twitter post on the fact that yes, I'm in search of PhD position, even though I've done interview with him and it was really beautiful. And though of course the funding is an issue, though he's proposing that we look towards a fellowship option or teaching assistant option that is available in his university. But I want to make that tweet in such a way that since we are following each other, I'm scared if I make that tweet, he may get to see it and may think that probably this guy is no more interested in my university or is no more interested in my lab. That is why he's posting
I
that.
understand that.
So then the second question is, I want to ask if there is a limit on the number of bookmarks that one can have, like in the bookmarks section of Twitter.
I don't believe you can have a limit on bookmarks. I don't believe there's a limit. I haven't seen my bookmarks hit a limit. I don't think there is a limit on bookmarks. For your other question, that's a really great question, and it is really delicate because you have this relationship and you're following each other on Twitter. What I would suggest is, they would probably know that you're looking for other opportunities already. So you when you word your Twitter, so let me share mine and what I have, as grad recruit. And of course, I've also talked with other PIs, and it's just a general understanding that you're not going to be only looking at their program. So this is what I have. So I have the hashtag grad recruit week. And I hope you can see this hashtag grad recruit week, and what I research and what I'm scouting. It really, that is my pinned tweet. And yes, I have a lab where I'm working at. I have PhD programs I've approached and talked to PIs personally. But it is really, it's really up to you. But I'm also imagining they would be understanding that you are going to be looking at other programs. So I wouldn't limit you from putting this up there because it really is, your search that involves multiple programs. You shouldn't limit yourself to just one person. And I'm pretty sure they'll be understanding of that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely expected that you would look for more than one program. I think universities, like you said, Ajisha, are pretty understanding about that. As for the limit to bookmarks, I have not hit a limit before, and I've got quite a few, so I don't think there's a limit. That being said, I would really recommend just, again, scheduling maybe a time or maybe once a month or even once every 6 months to go in there and just kind of clean it out and keep it relevant to what you're currently researching or currently interested in. Maybe it's looking for jobs or looking at PhD programs. So that way, you just see the bookmarks that are kind of relevant, and you can kind of remove the ones that are no longer relevant to you, or if you've read the article, you can just remove it.
So I'm gonna go ahead and go okay, hi Zara. Okay, let's go ahead and have your question.
Hey, thank you so much for the excellent presentation. I would like to ask just that, how do you guys propose to keep a good balance of academic and non-academic stuff on your own personal profile on Twitter? So because we're all humans in the end, and we might not just be professionals, we have other aspects of our lives as well. So sometimes there could be things that we're posting that may offend our academic community, maybe. I don't know. There could be a situation that's that. So what do you guys suggest on how to keep that good positive balance on your profile?
That's a great question. And trust me, we all face this dilemma. Like, are we really going to be offending? And, for me, I have multiple fields. Like, as you can see on my little field here, I do a lot of stuff. So my posts are going to be very varied, and having a balance between my career, my research, which is biomedicine, and my other stuff. Like, I wouldn't want to say other stuff though, because I really love the other work that I do, like the marketing, outreach, the communication. So for me, finding a balance is hard, but for me, I just try to share as many opportunities as I can. And if you think it's going to offend someone, think about why you're thinking it's going to offend someone, and see who your audience really, which part of your audience is going to take it at offense, and just think about what's at stake. And I agree, it is a really big challenge to make that decision. Okay, do I post this? And maybe it'll create a problem for me. And I think that's where having an anonymous Twitter account would really help. And because we all have our own lives, we all have our own things we want to talk about, but we can't really do that in our professional account. I would encourage having an anonymous account if that would really help.
Yeah,
your voice out there.
If I can just jump
Thank
in
you
too,
so much.
I think that it's fine to post other stuff sometimes, like maybe the majority of your content is academic related, but I follow like Hourly Fox, where I get a new fox picture every hour, and it's just cute and I like it. And I've posted that before, or like you can tweet about, I don't know. I don't like to get into like controversial stuff. I'm not interested in politics on Twitter. I just, you get enough of other kinds of news, other places, and you can create lists again if you're interested in having that in a separate place. But I think it's okay. Like, people want to know who you are, right? And so if you posted something personal, that's okay. And Ajisha, I love that your little icon is like you've got like a little tennis icon I saw.
Oh, that's a badminton. So I'm a badminton player. So that's what it is. So it has a microscope from the work and a badminton, because I couldn't find space to put that on my bio. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to just add a little emoji. And what I meant by like, posting for a specific audience, only for the controversial stuff that you might think might offend somebody, that I would highly recommend you have an anonymous account to do that, because it really is what's at stake. Of course, if you want to post it, go for it. But it really depends on what's at stake for you and why you want to do that post and what audience you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
So that is a few things you need to consider before making a post like that.
Thank you so much for the insight. Thank you.
Love that. And I think like your bio is another great place. You could say, like researcher, badass badminton player. That's a great place to summarize who you are, right?
It really is. So let's see if we have any other questions. But before we get the next question, I'll just go ahead and give a brief run through of my Twitter account. So here you can see, okay, we have a chat that I am not seeing. Okay, so this is me. I have my degree, and like you said, adding my qualification really gives a personal touch and shows who I really am. So I have biomedical researcher, marketing, and outreach, two things that usually don't go together. So I wanted to make sure I put that out there, saying that, okay, I do this, this, and this, but I also do this, this, and this. It really is a fine balance, and I struggle with that all the time. When I go for an interview, do I focus on my research, or do I also, I was always worried about being too passionate about my marketing and outreach work. They're going to be like, well, are you really serious about that? Or are you serious about this? It really is a fine balance of how you present yourself. But I've learned to accept that these are all parts of what I do, and I love what I do. So, I'm going to add whatever I do and as part of my profile. And again, I have and immune responses, and then I have my my ESA position, and this is my having my pin tweet and then retweets. So I often tweet about academic issues. I retweet information about opportunities. I retweet papers that I'm interested in reading, or people whose labs I'm trying to work at, and then inspirational stuff like these, and more papers, and open academic tweets that are just really good resources. And I really like this one. This was just something I shared today morning. there is really, and then grad school opportunities. So my page has a lot of content that I post on a daily basis. I'm gonna quickly try to pull up our student section page. If we don't have any more questions, we're gonna, keep this going for a couple more minutes, and then I want to, stop because I don't want to take too much of everybody's time. Okay, let me see. All right. Whew. Sorry if my page looks too cluttered here. Something went wrong. Why is something going wrong here?
You have as many tabs as I have opened right now.
No, this is just one window. You're not seeing the 5 other windows that are in the background. So, I have windows for my PhD applications, for the universities I'm looking at, labs, my research articles. Somehow this is not letting me in here. What? Why is that doing what I think it's doing? Well, I can try to see if I can pull up. See, that's the thing. My Twitter account is, filled with a lot of information. I was trying to find some specific stuff that I wanted to show from the ESA Student Section, but apparently it doesn't want to work right now. But, and I think what those were are probably hashtags that I wanted to share about people. So another way that I don't think I mentioned before to start a hashtag that you want people to follow is add a picture talking about what that hashtag's for. And that will get people following. So the ESA Watch Party 2020 hashtag that I showed you before for the conference, that was started by, I believe, one of the presenters or one of the professionals that attended the conference. And they added, okay, this is, what this is for. And everybody started following it and it started trending. So, starting a hashtag and starting a trend is really depending upon what your focus audience is. It might not trend in the overall Twitter. That's really hard to do, but in your own community, if you want it to trend, then you really want to focus it on what you want that hashtag to do. And if you're trying to, like Christine said, like if you're trying to do a paper share within so and so time, having to start a discussion, publicize that along with the first time you do the hashtag. That will really help.
Mm-hmm. Ajisha, I think you touched on a good point that we didn't go maybe into as much detail as we could have in the presentation, but I think using a photo is so important when you're tweeting and posting, because you're way more likely to look at something that is an image, right? We're visual people. So my tweets with images get a lot more engagement than just my sort of words and thoughts. And a great way, if you're going to share information about a paper, an image idea that you could use is to create a quote image. So you can go to that website I mentioned earlier, canva.com. It's canva.com. Maybe I'll put it in the chat. You can create Twitter graphics. And so there is a way to add that visual element, even if you're talking about something like a research paper. I like to choose my favorite quote from that paper and publish that as an image with that paper share.
That's really great. But, again, you have to be also really mindful of time you want to spend here, because you have, some people use Twitter as a professional account, like, that's their career. There's a lot of like open academics, academic chatter, they do that professionally and they spend a lot of time. So another thing I would want to highlight here, and I want to stress here, is that make sure you pace yourself when you use Twitter. Twitter can get really, addicting after a certain period of time. I find myself scrolling over and over, and I'm finding new articles, finding new discussions I want to jump into. There's just so much. You won't have time for everything, as well as, doing your other work. So it's really important to manage your time. Like, set a time when you want to look at Twitter. For me, like, I usually, look at Twitter morning before my working hours start, lunchtime, after work, sometimes before I go to bed. So these are times, like, small half an hour times that I scroll through Twitter. And I also find that this is the most engagement time. So I usually post, during these times. And like Christine said, it's, you're not going to be able to get the biggest audience for all time zones because, engagement differs by time zone. So for me and for people on the East Coast, I would say ET. Follow your own time zone and then try to post in times. But again, it is really not necessary, but at the same time, tagging, the relevant accounts and doing the time really will help you, get the most engagement. Some people told me that they follow like the, if they're tweeting to Academic Chatter or Open Up Academics, they follow their time zone. I am not sure what that is. I have not looked into it, so that they know that when they're going to be looking at tweets to retweet. I'm not seeing a trend there yet. Again, I've only been doing this for 2 months. It's not been a long time. But, it is really a great community to just feel included. For me, my unconventional educational background and my research experiences really made me feel like maybe I'm not so ready for PhD right now. But Twitter really showed me these are all the skills you need, and I looked back, I was like, oh, never mind, I have all these skills, and I'm motivated, but it's really the ready part that really got me a lot of times when I started to write my personal statement. What do I really want to write here? And having those tips coming from Twitter really helps me. And the imagery, I love that. So I've seen people taking screenshot of their documents, adding them with a tweet instead of having a link. Either one would help. So it really is up to you. And again, Twitter is optional, but it is very beneficial. So I would highly encourage everybody to have it. So since we're almost at time, I do want to mention we have an upcoming webinar on the 29th, which Christine is going to be doing on academic blogging.
So excited. Thank you.
Which is another important thing you could do if you're struggling to get published. At a blog would help, because blogs are really, why people look for publications is really to see your writing skills and to see how you can communicate your research in words. And I think having a blog post, if you're not able to publish in time because of the pandemic, I think that will really help. And we're going to talk about how to create one, maintain engagement in your academic blog, and how to promote that to other people. And that's going to be our next webinar. And thank you so much for everybody that joined us today. And we'll see you guys next time. And thank you so much.